welcome to the Complaint Desk. Drop your complaints in the bin on your way out. We're just two worship pastors discussing all things worship and church leadership. I'm Danny, I'm here with Doug, and we're here to help you navigate the life and ministry of a worship pastor. Thanks for joining us today. Now let's jump right in. Good morning, sir.
What's up, man? Good morning.
Just sitting over here grooving to the music, man.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody sees what we do behind the scenes acting goofy.
Over here dancing, man, having a good time. Brother, thanks for joining me this morning. I missed you last week.
Yeah.
It was, I appreciate everybody's patience, but still voices, you know, I got the coffee. We'll keep the coffee going. Hopefully we'll make it through this episode all right. But so good to see you, and so sorry that I missed you last week.
No promotion.
Just coffee, man.
Yeah,
just coffee.
I know.
Come on. Every day, powered by this guy right here. Every day.
I'm usually the coffee. I'll have the coffee in line, so I have the folks in the office laugh at me all the time at church because there's a central work office area and there's the coffee and all that stuff, but I have my own Keurig and I have my own bean grinder and everything in my office.
Yeah, I do. I've got my own pour over coffee set up over here, man. I love it. It's, you know, it's how I get through the day most days. You know, I'm at the age now where I wake up tired.
Yeah. You're
I wake
so
up
old.
sore. I know. I wake up sore. Like, who knew you could hurt sleeping?
You do.
Got mad skills, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, brother, thanks for being here today, man. I'm glad to get back on the train, get this rolling again. What you got going this week, man? What's God been doing in your studies?
So I was going to run over to 1 Thessalonians 1. Just a thought. I say I thought that I had, but I think the Holy Spirit directed that. Let me read that. So it's verses 2 through, I think, 10 in 1 Thessalonians 1. It says, "We always thank God for all of you, making mention of you constantly in our prayers. We recall, in the presence of God the Father, your work produced by faith, your labor motivated by love, and your endurance inspired by the hope in our Lord Jesus Christ." That's kind of the part that I want to talk about, but let me continue. It says, "For we know, brothers and sisters loved by God, that he has chosen you, because our gospel did not come to you in word only, but also in the power, in the Holy Spirit, and with full assurance. You know how we lived among you for your benefit, and you yourselves become imitators of us and of the Lord, when in spite of severe persecution, you welcome the message of joy from the Holy Spirit. As a result, you became an example to all believers in Macedonia and Achaia. For the word of the Lord rang out from you, not only in Macedonia and Achaia, but in every place that your faith in God has gone out. Therefore, we don't need to say anything, for they themselves report what kind of reception we had with you, how you turned from God, from your idols, to serve the living true God, and wait for his Son from heaven, whom he raised from the dead, Jesus, who rescues us from the coming wrath." This is a prime example, and there's a thousand other places you could point to. This is a prime example of how the gospel works in evangelism in real life. This is the rubber meets the road. We use all the flowery words. We use the Romans road. We use the color wheel. We use all those things.
Oh, the color wheel.
Yeah, all that, the color bracelet and all those things. But it can't be by word alone. And it just reminded me that my life, I guess, like we've been talking on this podcast, our lives are under a microscope. But I think all of Christianity, even especially today, is under the microscope. People are watching.
No question.
Yeah. So what is my life saying? Does my life, and I'm going to step on my own toes here maybe, what is my life on social media compared to what comes out of my mouth on Sundays? You know, does it match? Paul said we didn't have to say a word because of, you know, we witnessed to you, we came and lived among you, we worked among you, we showed you the love of Christ, not only told you by word, and then now you're just prospering and we don't have to say anything, you know? And I hope to have that kind of testimony in my life where my not just being a worship pastor, but just being a person. I hope my life reflects that of Christ to other people in such a
Yeah.
way that, a lot of times I don't have to say anything, or somebody else
Yeah.
wouldn't have to say anything.
Yeah, it's a good word. I'm going to flip back to the other side of the book. Numbers, Numbers 20.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. It kind of strikes fear in the heart of
Yeah, I love it.
mere mortals, right? No, but Numbers chapter 20, this is Moses' wife has just died. Miriam has just died. And they're at the waters of Meribah. And I want to read this passage, a handful of verses long, but it says this: Now there was no water for the congregation, and they assembled themselves together against Moses and against Aaron. And the people quarreled with Moses and said, Would that we had perished when our brothers perished before the Lord. Why have you brought the assembly of the Lord into this wilderness, that we should die here, both we and our cattle? And why have you made us come up out of Egypt to bring us to this evil place? It is no place for grain, or figs, or vines, or pomegranates, and there is no water to drink. Then Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly to the entrance of the tent of meeting, and fell on their faces, and the glory of the Lord appeared to them. And here's kind of the important point that I want to bring out today. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Take the staff, assemble the congregation, you and Aaron your brother, and tell the rock before their eyes to yield its water. So you shall bring water out of the rock for them, and give drink to the congregation and their cattle. Moses took the staff from before the Lord as he commanded him. Now, this is what actually happens. Then Moses and Aaron gathered the assembly together before the rock, and he said to them, Hear now, you rebels. That's how you can start your service on Sunday.
Start sermon.
Hear now, you rebels. Shall we bring water for you out of this rock? And Moses lifted up his hand and struck the rock with his staff twice. And water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank, and their livestock. And here's the important part. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, Because you did not believe in me, to uphold me as holy in the eyes of the people of Israel, therefore you shall not bring the assembly into the land that I have given them. These are the waters of Meribah, where the people of Israel quarreled with the Lord, and through them he showed himself holy. So the Lord told Moses to speak to the rock so that it would bring forth water. And what did Moses do? He did what he did before. He struck the rock.
Out of anger.
Yep. He was frustrated, which I get, man. His wife had just died.
Yeah.
And this is about the 400th time that they have gathered together against Moses. All because they say this is no place for grain or figs or vines or pomegranates.
And they added in that they were worried about their cattle, which, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were worried about our cattle.
But this is why Moses doesn't enter into the promised land.
Yeah.
Because of this event in history, Moses, he doesn't get to enter the promised land. So instead he yields, and Joshua ultimately takes him into the promised land. Which he was the one, he and Caleb and a bunch of others, they're the ones that went in and spied out the land, right? But interesting story there. I mean, it seems like such a little thing. The Lord told him to speak to the rock, and instead of speaking to the rock, he hit the rock with the staff, which is what he had done earlier. Which, it kills me, man, because the people grumbled. First, they assembled themselves together against Moses and against Aaron. They assembled themselves together, and they quarreled with him and said, Would that we had perished when our brothers perished before the Lord.
Woe is me.
You took us out of slavery. You've given us our freedom, and we don't have figs or pomegranates or whatever. We're tired of manna. We want meat. We want this. We want that. They have complained so many times against Moses and against Aaron. It kills me how they ignore all the things that God did. Like, did you forget that he split the sea in two so that you could walk through on dry ground? Did you forget the food that he provided for
Yeah.
you? He laid it at your
All you
feet
had to do is
every
pick it up.
morning.
Yeah.
All you had to do was pick it up
Mhm.
and eat it and enjoy it.
You and I
Did you
both
forget that?
you and I both were smiling as you read the scripture originally, and it's not because we know some secret thing or anything like that, or we have some private joke. I think every pastor feels that a bit deeply. There's a couple things. The people gathered together and came to Moses and launched into their thing. So they grouped together. They'd already had their little factions. They'd already worked out their little dissertation that they were going to bring. And
The hallway meetings,
yes,
yeah.
the hallway meetings, the whatever that's going on, and this happens because we're sinners, because we're all capable of that kind of division and dissension. That's where it begins when that is allowed to take root. So they come to Moses, and really what they're saying is what? Well, we want to go back to the way it was. It was so much better back there at that point in time. So let's analyze.
Even though we were in slavery.
Yeah. Let's analyze that for a second. Okay, there might have been some good moments, but they were being killed. They were being slave tasked to work, and at times without even, they're supposed to make clay, or bricks, and then the ingredients for the bricks. Okay, you're going to have to go out and get that. They were under slavery. And sometimes when we can complain so much and really harp on, I guess a harp on would be that we forget what God did, and we forget what God can do. There's so much there. And I told you before we started this, I was like, we could talk about this for an hour.
I mean, it's so easy. And one of the things, that I've said probably a number of times is we follow the same cycle. We talked about this right before we came on. The cycle that we see here in the scripture, the people grumble against Moses. God provides for them. And generally there's some sort of punishment. A number of them normally die off or they get sick or something along those lines. And then all is well. And then what happens? Then they start grumbling again. And we just run this cycle. It's the exact same thing that you see through the Judges. It's the exact same thing you see through the Kings.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing you see in the New Testament with Jesus. It's the exact same thing that you see today in your life, in my life. We run the exact same cycle that you see right here in Numbers 20. And that's why I've come to love the Old Testament, because, a lot of people, they want to read, they want to study the New Testament because that's where the doctrine is, right? That's where
not really. I mean, it is, yes, but
that's where you get it laid out for you, like Romans, right? That's where you get doctrines of salvation and things like that. And those things are important. Please don't hear me wrong there. Those are important pieces of scripture. That's why they're in there. But Numbers and Leviticus even are just as important as Romans. And I think part of the reason for me has become that I've come to love it is it tells me, it shows me. It's like looking in a mirror. It shows me who I am.
Yeah.
Right.
Notice how, and the thing we probably need to talk about based on the content of our podcast, notice how Moses had every reason in the world to actually be mad and do what he did, but God still holds that leader accountable. And for you as a worship pastor, for a worship leader, no matter if you're just getting up and playing guitar on stage and leading some songs, you're still a leader.
Yep.
And God holds leaders responsible for those things. And even the smallest thing, I was talking with my son, Caden, about this because he was reading through this, and we're trying to read a New Testament and Old Testament in a year, which is a task for a 10-year-old, but it's not every single bit of it, but it's the main bulk of everything.
Right.
But he came upon this passage several weeks ago, and he was like, Dad, that seems unfair because the people were mean. And I'm thinking, I'm echoing my heart. I'm like, yeah, the people are mean. I'm a pastor. The people are mean. But there is something in, of course, God holds the people responsible, right?
Hmm.
all throughout, if you look at the whole scope of things, generations died because they didn't listen to God.
That's right.
But it for the leader, it's not, many times it's not the task that we're trying to make happen. It's faithfulness. God just wanted Moses to be faithful and be that example. God will take care of the other stuff. Just be faithful in what I asked you to do. And,
That's right.
so good stuff, good lesson for me for sure.
But I think it's a great, like I said, it's a great passage because it really lays out
Mm,
who we are. It really
yeah.
does. I see it. It makes it easy to see in my life. It makes it easy to see in the life of the people that I pastor. Just in the life of the church in general, you see the cycles.
Yeah. How easy is it to put yourself on the outside of that and not really understand that you and I are the Israelites?
We follow, yeah. I mean, yeah,
We
we
try to put
follow the
ourselves on the
same.
outside looking at it and saying
That's right.
that's not that, that was them. Why could they do that? No, that's
We
us
try to
today.
we try to be the Moses,
Yep.
right? We try to be the Moses,
Yep.
and sometimes we are. Sometimes we are the Moses figure, but more often than not, if you follow the cycle
Mm,
in your life, if you look back, you trace that cycle, you'll find that you're the grumbler.
mm, yeah.
And there are times when, like Moses, you're also the disobedient one.
Yep.
So, anyway, just
Good
just
stuff.
a word of encouragement for you
Yeah.
this morning. I always love reading through that stuff, but the Old Testament has become so important to me when I tended to overlook it in the past. So,
There's a lot of
anyway,
leadership examples, a lot of leadership principles. A lot of people will go, like to the book of James or something like that. Great books to go to. Just take, and I told you this before we started today, just take Moses and take David or
yeah,
Abraham. And there's a lot of leadership principles, either failures or successes in that.
shoot, just go read through Kings, man.
Oh, yeah.
You'll learn pretty quickly what not to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway, on to our topic at hand today. One of the things that we wanted to talk about is what exactly do we do during the week?
Nothing.
I mean, and look, this is a tale as old as time, right? In
Uh-huh.
Disney language, you're a pastor, you only work on Sunday, right? Or for whatever rehearsal you have,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I've heard it.
You just wave
You've
your
heard
arms
it.
a little bit on Sunday and
You just stand up
sing
there and
some
sing, and
songs.
we pay you how much?
Yeah.
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 So one of the things that we did want to talk about was just what does your week look like? And I think what I'd like to do is talk through the way I have my week planned out. I want to talk through that, and then we'll jump off from there. But so generally, we'll just start with Monday. Monday pretty much for meetings. Monday's for getting things knocked out. Evaluating Sunday for um, for
Drinking lots of
right,
coffee.
drinking coffee always. Every day's for drinking coffee. But one of the other things that I try to do, I do my best to make sure I get done on Mondays is finalizing that next week's worship service, that next Sunday's worship service. Right. So that is a big part of my Monday outside of the meetings and the drinking coffee. I want to get those services finalized because I got rehearsals coming,
Yeah.
right? You got to be ready for those rehearsals. You need to have as much as you can in order so that those rehearsals will go off without wasting a bunch of people's time. Excuse me. Sorry, my voice is I'm still struggling if you can hear it.
The silent
But I will,
cough. I like the silent cough effect.
hey man, this mute button is my friend
It
over
is.
here. Um, but so that's what my Monday generally looks like. I spend a lot of time just kind of catching up on emails.
Mm.
Right now, I'm in the middle of a CCLI reporting period, so I spend a few minutes reporting songs. But Tuesday rolls around. I'm getting ready for a band rehearsal, so I'm putting tracks together. I'm putting lyrics together in ProPresenter. I'm doing those kinds of things on Tuesday. Wednesday, I'll come in, I'll fix whatever we found that was not right from Tuesday. So I'll come in, I'll fix my tracks, I'll finalize all my tracks, I'll send out master tracks of the whole worship set where they can play start to finish if they want to run through it that way. Thursday, I'm getting ready for choir. Part of Wednesday, most of Thursday, I'm getting ready for choir rehearsal. We, thank goodness, have just started back.
Woohoo.
And yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. We've had a couple of rehearsals now, and I got a good group of folks. They're excited to be back, which makes it easy for me excited to be back. I got to tell you, though, I was nervous.
It's been
I
a
haven't
while.
really conducted in 15 months. 15 months.
That's something for me. And this, I know this is a little side note, but that's something for me. I've always loved doing at the church I'm at now. We don't have a choir. We had one when I first came. We didn't have enough involvement. It kind of dwindled down to about 8. Can't have a choir with 8 people. And
Yeah, that's hard.
there's a lot of reasons for that, but I would love to get back to it one day. People ask me all the time, hey, when you going to start choir up again? And I'll look at them and say, soon as you show up for participation, as soon as you come to be involved in it.
You come
Yeah,
soon. Yeah,
but
that's right.
but I miss conducting. Back in seminary, I got opportunities to conduct an orchestra and conduct, choir, and I was the fool that used the conductor's wand for the choir. But
I use a pencil.
I do
Number
use a
2
pencil.
pencil.
I'm so much more precise. I miss that. I miss those techniques. I miss that stuff. So
Yeah, I'm taking notes, so I tend not to put my pencil down. I just keep it in my hand. I'll
Okay.
direct with it. I'll make notes. Direct with it, make notes. I know it looks dumb, but I don't care. I'm making notes.
yeah, do what you got to do.
You can't do that with your wand. But yeah, I tell you, man, it's amazing. I found myself really thinking, oh my gosh, man, this is be the first time I've been with this choir because of COVID.
Mm.
I've been here, almost 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
Be the first time I've been with this choir. And not only was I nervous about conducting, I woke up Thursday and my voice was gone.
Yeah.
Gone.
Well, you know what?
Gone.
And I'm gonna reveal private information right here on live. It's because you
great.
didn't have that allergy shot the week before. Remember? I told you go lose your voice.
I don't think that had anything to do with it.
Did just because I said it.
Yeah, thanks. Don't say it again. All right.
All right, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, that's I don't know how you do, but about once a year I'll get this stupid sinus infection mess, and it always goes straight to my vocal cords.
I had that until I moved to South Florida, and then my allergies. There's a lot of people here that have allergies and native Floridians, but for some reason something changed for me when I moved here. I literally have no allergies now.
You got away from the oak trees.
Probably.
That's what it was.
Yeah, all that.
Yeah.
Well, and North Carolina, right in the springtime, it's all yellow.
Well, that's pine, though. I mean, that's.
I think I'm allergic to pine pollen, but we are way off topic now.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Well, kind of. I mean, it's
Yeah.
still a worship issue, right?
Well, it goes
Worship
through your
leader
week,
issue.
yeah.
Yeah. But so that's what of course, then, I have that choir rehearsal. We're getting ready to start an orchestra rehearsal too.
That's on Wednesday, yeah.
That's Thursday for us. And there's a lot of reasoning behind Thursday, but I won't get into that today. But so we'll do orchestra Thursday evening, and we'll follow it up with choir. They'll have a little bit of overlap so that they can get used to one another. Run through the songs for Sunday that way. But I mean, Friday, I'm here Friday mornings with you.
Mm-hmm.
Generally have try to get lunch appointments and things like that going on Friday so that I can get some of that stuff knocked out. I try to keep Saturday as low key as I can, just so that I'm not all jacked up and can't sleep for Sunday because I have
Right.
enough issue with that as it is.
And when is your day off?
My day off, well,
Well,
Friday, Saturday.
okay.
Friday, Saturday. But Friday, like I said, I'm here doing this like I am right now. I'll try to do some meetings for lunch, like things that I just haven't been able to get scheduled.
Yeah.
I try to get some of those scheduled on Fridays. But Friday afternoon, once I pick up my kids, I try to keep Friday and Saturday for Friday evening and Saturday for family. get things done around the house, things that have been neglected all week. Because Lord knows I haven't emptied the dishwasher enough Monday through Friday.
Hey, you got 2 boys for that.
Dude, I do not trust them to be putting plates away.
We've got a lot of broke dishes now that we started doing that with them.
We'd be eating off paper plates if it was that. But I mean that is a general week.
Yeah,
that's what my week looks like. You try to get meetings at lunch. I try to do meetings in the afternoons if I can. But that's in general. Now, if you want my straight up week, that's what I'm after.
Yeah, that's
now,
a
never happens that
successful
way.
week with no interruptions. No,
that it never ever happens that way.
Yep.
But that's so. What is tell me what your week looks like, and I'm gonna grab another drink out of the refrigerator while you're talking.
I approach it recently. We have talked about here that our new senior pastor has been with us now for a while, a little bit, and he came in and challenged us to actually document with the time. So I'm all techie, so I went and got a time tracking app, and so I can actually speak to this just a little bit in that sense, like exactly down to the minute what I do, which I track. I usually had tracked it through my calendar, my to-do task list and stuff like that, but now I'm doing it with this app. So let me describe it and the categories of which I put things in, and then I'll go into my week. So
fancy.
Yeah, I've got 12 categories of things that go on. Yes, I know. I've tried to narrow that down. So, one of the categories is commute. So I put my commute to work in there just to kind of get that laid out. I've got
that's a blessing for me. It'd be 30 seconds.
You're like right around the corner. Yeah.
Can walk in.
Well,
in 5
oddly
minutes.
enough, here, depending on what season of the year, if we have like what's called snowbirds, where it's retired folks who go back up north when it gets super hot down here, when they're gone, I can get to work in 15 minutes. When snowbirds are here and things like that, and school buses are running, it could be 45 minutes sometimes.
Yeah.
Just depends on the traffic. But anyway, my categories are broken down into communication. At my church, I'm in charge of the larger part of social media and communication for the church. So that's everything from social media down to emailers, down to whatever, bulletin boards, however that needs to be communication. Our admin assistants help in that. Worship planning, small group Bible studies, church ministry is general church ministry, tech IT. So you lost a lot of that when you moved to where you're at, but I'm still the resident tech IT guy.
I do some of that.
Yeah. Vision planning. I've got a session for kind of vision planning, leadership development, member care and counseling. So I've got that category, do a lot of that too, personal growth, and administration. And there's some other miscellaneous things there. But how my week starts is I'm like you, I get in the office on Monday, and my first thing is just sit back in the chair and go, wow. So whatever's gone on for that week. So you reevaluate.
Worn out from Sunday, right?
Yeah. It's especially with kids and everything else.
Oh yeah.
So usually I start evaluating the following or the next Sunday coming up. So make sure everything's in place for that. I have band practice and things on Tuesday, so I try to spend Monday and Tuesday getting sheet music out, tracks out, because I put tracks out to our band, making our Ableton tracks and things like that. Tuesdays are spent for meetings and staff meetings. So we do staff meetings. We do a one-on-one with our pastor as well.
You have a lot of meetings on Tuesday.
I'm like disappear on Tuesday. And that'll get better. We've new pastor. We're just getting to know each other, working together as things start to knit closer together. That'll be less than that. So like this past week, we went and got lunch for our one-on-one time and kind of, did that kind of thing. So that's good. It's really turned out to be beneficial. But I also schedule meetings with our maintenance director, and usually my tech director and things like that. I'll try to get. He works a full-time job. He works for us part-time, but I try to get with him if it's going to be on that day. I'm a, bit of a kind of administrator over some of those things and people. So I'll get all those meetings on Tuesday out of the way and try to catch up. So from 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night, I stay at church on Tuesday. So
Okay.
family gets out of school, Angela grabs lunch or grabs dinner, we eat in the office, and then it's straight to band practice at 6 o'clock. And
Okay.
it's to 7:38, something like that. I check in on some of our facility folks that's using our gym that night as well. So Wednesday I come in and lay on the couch that's right outside of my secondary office because I'm tired. But Wednesday is spent working on a lot of communication. So the emailer's got to go out on Thursday, making sure all the information from meetings on Tuesday gets implemented
Oh yeah.
through the rest of the week.
Mm-hmm.
More worship planning that day as well. Of course, you always have the phone call. We got VBS coming up, so we've been meeting a lot for that. Thursday is the final day, so I'll video edit on these days for announcement stream announcements and in-house announcements and
Mm-hmm.
pro presenter slides for the service, making sure lyrics are all there. Got a tech director that he helps me with that a lot too, but just putting my final eyeball on everything to make sure it's all lined up. Any special events that's going to be in the church service that morning. And then Thursday, about 3 o'clock, I cut out and go home and then sit at my computer right here to study a bit for the Bible study that I lead on Zoom that night.
Yep.
So that's at 6:30, and then we're usually on until about 7:30, 7:45. Go from there, and then Friday's my day off, but I get Friday's my day off, but sometimes everything doesn't go well through the week, so I might have to step up to the church or whatever, like you do.
Yeah.
But,
Yep.
and that's
Yeah. I'm sitting here right now.
yeah, that's a small microcosm. So, and what we're going to say in this is, worship leader, worship pastor, we know, we feel you, and it especially hits home when someone in your care, your shepherding in your church, comes up and says, "What do you do all day? You don't really do it. You play golf, whatever you do," and you're just kind of like, come hang with me one day,
So, I mean, I guess at the base level then, so what we've just shared is those would be, in some ways, those would be the ideal week.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how I'm typically planning. If I have some extra downtime in the office, particularly, I'll sit down. I've got this nice big screen. I'll open up Planning Center and I'll matrix out everything and I'll get going. I try to be a month ahead, at least basic planning, right?
I try to be 6 months ahead, but I've not been there for quite a while just because of a lot of the
can't get
change.
to 6 months.
Yeah, it's hard. You
I
have to
can
change so
typically
much.
I can typically stay a month
Yeah.
ahead. Sometimes I'll get to 2. Just depends on, if it's a week where there's not been quite as much going on,
But
then I can get.
I'll
I
bet
can
you
get ahead.
have Christmas planned though, because I know you.
I don't.
Oh, you're the one that listens to Christmas music like during the week though.
I was playing it yesterday,
Yeah.
I think. I was playing some of the ladies in the office. They were loving it. But, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I actually don't have it planned.
Oh, you sinner.
No, no. I will say, though, the wheels are turning.
Yeah.
I'm looking at, particularly as I've gotten, the choir has started. I'm kind of feeling out what I have there, what I can work with. So I'm starting to think I've got Advent books sitting right over here on my
yeah.
on my thing. So it's coming.
Yeah, good.
It's coming. I'm not there yet, but it's coming. Sorry, I cannot stop coughing. This stuff is just settled in my throat. I can't quit. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I think one of the most beneficial things for anybody listening who's current worship pastor or whatever, there's always that point that comes up to where, you're trying to fill your free moments. This is what I teach my kids. Well, you got this 30 minutes, what are you going to do with that 30 minutes so you can do something more beneficial not beneficial, but something else you want to do later. If you want to play a video game or whatever, you got to pack all that stuff in.
What can you squeeze in?
Yeah. So that's the general feel. And sometimes it can feel so packed and rushed. We didn't add devotions into that. So literally that's the first thing I do when I walk in the office is I sit down with my table talk and I go through that. I go through the scripture and do my reading. And I've got a category for that's to me, that's the most important thing on my category list. That gets interrupted sometimes. What did I text you the other morning? I text you, I got a text from our maintenance director. Hey, our computer's down, our internet's down, this and that and the other.
Oh, yes.
And I'm like, I got to walk straight in. Some days I don't even go to my office till like noon.
Yeah.
And I'm around the church. So there's always something that's going to interrupt things.
So let's talk about that though.
Yeah.
I mean, so when these things happen, so let's think a little bit about this. I mean, look, it can be something as simple as part of my driving factor for not having a podcast last week is I was literally, and I don't think we'd have been able to have it anyway, at least not from here.
Yeah.
I was literally right outside my window here in our courtyard slinging half chickens for half the day. Our youth had a fundraiser. And so, you know what? Jump in. I was out here 4:30 Friday morning. Putting chickens, prepping grills, putting chickens on grills, getting them ready to sell. I forget how many thousands of half chickens they sold, but oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure I still smell like chicken. I showered twice on Friday and I was still laying in bed smelling chicken. I'm like, oh my goodness. You're going to have things like that, right? You're going to have VBSs. I know those will be coming up here real soon. As we are very quickly approaching summer. I mean, we're what, a week from Memorial Day?
Yeah.
Week and a half from Memorial Day. So, you're going to have things like that going on. You're going to have mission trips. I don't know what all's going on this summer. I know our students are going on some trips, camps and things like that. No, I'm not going to any of those. I'm not going on any mission trips. As far as I know, the only thing I'm doing is seeing some family later on the summer. But those are things that in a non-COVID type situation, you're going to be doing, right?
Yep.
You're going to be on a trip somewhere, whether it's, across town or whether it's on the other side of the world. A lot of times those come up on summer weekdays. What else, man? You'll have funerals.
Oh yeah. We just had one last week. Yeah. And that was another evening where it was an 8 a.m. to 7:30 at night. And really,
those are long days.
Here's what I find, and we were talking about some of how do you handle these things? I think as any worship leader or worship pastor or pastor period, you need to get out of your head the 40-hour mentality of work week where you come in and clock in. I used to serve with a pastor who lead pastor who made us clock in.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a little different, but this job is not like that. Yeah. Most of the time, clocking my time now, I'm way over 40 pretty much every week. Some of the more important categories for me here that I want to get to is like leadership development, vision planning, and things like that. We work on so much of the practical stuff, which we can measure by hours, but there's a lot of stuff that a pastor or worship leader does that you can't really measure by hours. Like you said, Christmas, the wheels are working. You're sitting watching a Marvel movie, The Avengers, and your mind is going through, I know it sounds silly, but it's true.
It's true.
Your mind's going through what you're going to do for Christmas or what you're going to do for this next event. And you jot some notes and your wife's like, get off your phone, or usually I have to tell my wife to get off her phone, but it's always on. So as a worship leader, as a worship pastor, get that out of your mind. Yes, take breaks, take vacations, take your time, do what you need to do.
Yep.
But get out of this is your calling. It's not just a job you can just go to and go home and leave everything at work.
That's right.
Because if you do that, you're going to be a failure as a pastor.
Well, and it's it's never going to fail that you're going to get home and be in the middle of cooking dinner,
Yeah.
and one of your music folks is going to be en route to the hospital.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I've had it happen many times, or a member of the church or something that maybe they're not in the worship ministry, but you love dearly. They've encouraged you, and you have to drop everything, and you should drop everything.
Yeah.
Now, where I would encourage you as a pastor or worship leader, whoever, take that time somewhere else. Don't skip out on your family. Don't skip out on your personal time. Take it somewhere else. And that's where a church member needs to understand, well, hey, pastor's not in the office on Monday. Well, hey, pastor's not in the office. What is he doing? He's being lazy. Well, maybe he had a funeral. Maybe he worked 65 hours last week and he's taking Monday off.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that nobody really talks about,
And I'll be honest with you, I struggle with that because a lot of times if it's my time, like whatever I do today, I'm not going to get back.
Mm-hmm.
I won't take it back because it's my time.
Me either. Yeah.
Kids are in school. My wife's teaching. Today is an off day for me because Sunday's a work day.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever I do today, whatever meetings I have, whatever planning I do today, I'm not worried about. Where I try to really get it back, and by the way, maybe that's my failure. Maybe I need to work harder on that. But what I will try to get back is time that I have taken away from my family.
Yeah.
I'll try to get that back when I can, when I can be with them.
Yep.
And if I can't, I won't take that time because, what else am I going to do, right?
Well, and a lot of that's communication, right? So it's communication. You communicate to and I've seen pastors who will slave it away 8 to 5, do all the other ministries, things outside of that, end up working 60, 70 hours a week, ignore their family. They lose their family. They lose their kids. They lose their wife. It happens way more than you think it would. What's more important? What has God, number one, tasked you to do? Love him, serve him with your whole heart, mind, and soul. Number two, of course, we know the second part of the commandment, love others as yourself. But in the God's dynamic, your family is the most important. Your family needs to come before your ministry. And I agree with you. That is hard because there are things we have to do. I have to do this funeral. I have to be there for these folks. I have to invest in this leadership team, these people. I have to do these things, even if they're the practical things. So how do I combine that with not letting go of my family and making sure that's the difficult thing? So,
one thing I will say, there's something to be said for living closer to the church.
And I do. Don't get it wrong. I do. It's just traffic be crazy.
Well,
Florida drivers be crazy.
If you're on the road, it's crazy. Look, I was 14 miles away at my previous church.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
It's not, but again, with traffic though, I'm looking at least a 30-minute commute.
Yeah. That's an hour of your day right there.
Sometimes coming home, it would take me, there were days it would take me an hour and a half to come home, to get home, just because of traffic. But now I get in my car,
turn it on, turn it off.
I hear half a song and I'm here.
Yeah.
I was talking with my wife the other day because she actually is funny because she works literally across the street from the church.
Oh,
I can look out my window right here and see into the front door of the school. But her gas mileage in her car has been cut more than half because she's driving a half mile a day.
Well, in a gas shortage, that's a detriment or a benefit. Which one is it? So you can't claim I don't have gas, I can't get to work.
Well, for her, for her, be honest, I fill up her car about every other month.
Yeah, wow.
I'll go fill it up for her.
Wow.
I fill mine up about once a week because I run other errands and things like that with mine right now. But, so let me ask you, how many nights a week do you have your children with you at church?
My kids are at church all the time. So, Tuesday night, fortunately, their school is close by the church. summers are different, right? Because they're not in school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fortunately, my wife teaches, so she won't be in school either.
Yeah.
But they'll
Same.
be up at the church more. How many
But
nights?
but right now, how many nights a week? While they're in school, how many nights a week do they spend with you at the church?
Probably 3, 2 or 3 at least. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious because we're kind of the same way. Tuesday night they're with us for band rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday night stuff is really getting ready to get kicked off here.
Yeah, ours too.
I don't know how it is down there, but now that COVID is kind of letting up, which by the way, I walked in the coffee shop without a mask the other day and it felt so weird. I felt like I was breaking the law.
Well, I have to be honest.
So weird.
Here in Florida, and I told you this, and I have been wearing my mask. All that stuff. For some reason, people don't care down here in Florida. They in large, Florida moved on from the COVID stuff months ago. Now, restaurants will still say, hey, wear a mask. And most people are respectful of that. But by and large, it felt weird to me going into, what was it? We went into Publix and literally nobody's wearing a mask. And I'm like, oh, gosh. But
I know it was weird. I walked in the hardware store because we have like a farm kind of hardware store where they sell all kinds of stuff. But I needed some really big bolts that you can't get at your normal hardware store. So I was in there, man, and nobody's wearing a mask. And I was just
and it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all.
No,
the only reason
it doesn't bother me.
Mask,
it's just weird.
Yeah, the only reason I wear the mask is again, a personal responsibility. We've got older folks in our church, and I want to be respectful of their comfortability. So
I get that 100%.
Would I wear it if I had a choice? No, but
I don't. I don't know why we're talking about masks, but it was just so weird to walk in though and think I'm so used to seeing all these people with masks and nobody's wearing them. But
it's had an effect, and it's had an effect on what we do. We were
talking about student stuff. That's what it was.
Student stuff.
So that's getting ready to get started. So my boys will be here on Wednesday nights. I'm getting ready to pick up a Bible study that'll be on Wednesday nights. They're here on Thursday nights for rehearsals. They're here a good part of the day on Sunday. So, look, my kids have grown up in church.
Yeah, mine too.
I know it's the same. I mean, look, my oldest, he wasn't probably 2 weeks old before he was in church, and he's not missed very many Sundays since.
Yeah. Well, and it's up to us as dads too to, there's always difficulties, and it's up to us, and I'm conscious of this all the time. Don't let my sons necessarily see the bad side of things that adults might talk about, because that influences them as far as what they remember church was like. So what let me ask this question in this line, and I may put you on the spot, but what are some things before you got into full-time church ministry? What are some things that you didn't know or maybe weren't prepared to do as a worship pastor, worship leader, that maybe we talk about this all the time? Well, seminary didn't train me for that, or Bible college didn't train me for that, which is pretty much all of it. But the theology part is what I desperately needed from seminary and things like that. But what are some things that you didn't know that you would be doing during a daily week? I put you on the spot.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I mean, one of the things I wish that I had gotten somewhere is just simply time management. And I'll move on answer the rest of your question here in just a minute. But one of the things I wish I had gotten somewhere would be kind of the discussion we're having today, is what does that time management look like for a pastor? Look, my dad was a pastor. I saw stuff, but it didn't.
You don't think about that at a younger level.
I didn't understand that as a kid, right? I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it as a young adult either. But the how you manage, how you set up your week, yes, you have a certain set of things you want to do. It's like we walked through earlier. I have things I do on Monday because I have rehearsal on Tuesday. I have things I do on Wednesday because I have rehearsal on Thursday. I have things that I do Thursday to be ready for Sunday, right? So I have a set kind of schedule, if you will, that I'm working in. but it's all of the other things. It's the chicken dinners that you end up cooking for. It's the
anything that interrupts that, and it happens often, is what we're
yes,
saying. Yeah.
yeah. I never have a week. I couldn't tell you the last time I had a week that just followed my plan. Right.
I don't know if I've ever had a week that followed my plan.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever. I'm sure it has a time or two.
Well, and maybe that's
Okay.
some of what we're talking about, that time management skills. I agree with you 100%. Time management was something that, on this level, that I was never taught. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because here's the thing. I came to the ministry out of radio.
Mm.
I was working in radio, and it was I was a sign-on show. So we were there at 5:30 for a 6 o'clock sign-on. Show runs to 10. You do recordings. You do any promo things that you're doing out in the community. You do those by lunch. By lunchtime, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
There, radio, it's back there. We're done with that for today. I'll be back on that tomorrow. You know, similar. If you see something though that would be funny for a show, write it down. Keep moving.
Yeah.
But in that regard, it's similar. But otherwise, when you leave that at noon or 1 o'clock, I'm done.
Yeah.
Done till tomorrow. I do whatever I want to.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about that.
Not,
I don't have to worry
so
about somebody
ministry.
calling me.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about somebody calling me back to the station
Mm-hmm.
because I have to do XYZ. I don't have to worry about, you know.
You don't have to worry about adulting.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. If the toilet breaks at the station, that's not my problem.
That's not my problem. Well, yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
You
Internet
know,
goes down. That's not my problem. I don't have to worry about it.
That's right. The things that
and the reason why
are going
we
to happen
say
the next day, you got a production director, you got a production guy who's going to get those ready. I don't have to do that.
I think it's funny that every worship pastor that I've ever talked to has some ties to the technology in its church, just because we utilize it so much for ministry these days.
We do.
So we end up being the ones to have a little bit more tech knowledge. I'll tell you. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and I do help with that here, but it's not
like you did.
It's
before.
not a primary like I had before.
Yeah, you were kind of the everything before. So,
very much like you are right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like it. I love to do it. It's something that's added to ministry, but it's it's. I like to say it's skills that God has given me because I've really picked these things up in the last 20 years. And I didn't start with them. Yeah. I think one of the things that I didn't foresee, I knew shepherding. I knew that was going to be part of being a pastor and being a worship pastor, but I didn't develop the deeper level of people skills, and didn't foresee having to do that really. That I do. And I think that's where a lot of younger, not necessarily in age, but is in time in pastors, worship pastors, there's not people. That's not a term, I know, but you have to develop loving people and loving people well.
Right.
Even when you don't like them.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
Well, sometimes your marriage is that way, right?
Yeah, I want to strangle. I don't want to strangle my wife. She'd kill me. She'd beat me up.
I'd lose.
But
I'd lose. Yeah.
Your Italian wife, yes, you'd be in a bag somewhere.
Where's Danny?
I have no idea.
I hadn't seen him.
Here's his feet. That's all we know. I love you, Jill.
we have his shoes. That's all we have.
But I think
why are we talking about?
I don't know. For young worship pastors, leaders, ministers, and I mean young in the ministry, not necessarily young in age, if you don't deal with people well, you're going to struggle. If you don't,
agree.
You're going to struggle big time. You're going to be that pastor that rotates out of ministry every 3 years to some other ministry.
1,000%
because people you said this, it's a people business.
Mm-hmm.
When I started, I wasn't armed with enough people skills, and I'm still learning. I'm obviously still learning.
Oh yeah.
We talked about going to our office on Monday and sitting just kind of going, it's not the technical aspects of ministry that make us do that. It's the people part of ministry that makes us do that many times.
Right.
And feeling overwhelmed with it. So the more you can get people skills, leadership skills, all that, and realizing, and if I could say it in one phrase, Pastor, you're not always right. Pastor Doug, you're not always right. There are other people that are let me tell a story. I served with a pastor one time. We were in a meeting with some other lay leaders in the church, and this particular pastor was a more domineering style, and he just laid it. This was years and years and years ago, so nobody's ever going to know who I'm talking about. He was in this meeting, and he was particularly a younger guy, and he was, kind of being, a dictator and kind of telling everybody what they're going to do. And I got to looking around in this meeting, and there was some military personnel. I'm former military, former colonel. There was a colonel sitting in there, and another guy was a sergeant in the military. And I just got to thinking about that. I'm like, I know at what levels I have been in charge of things in the military, and I was not to a colonel level. Here this young pastor is, first-time pastor, first year as a pastor, telling a colonel who leads scores of men, has tons of things in his life that he's has purview over. You're telling this guy and kind of bossing him around. We as pastors can get way ahead of ourselves, and we need to have the ability with the personal skills and the people skills to realize, I'm not right. I'm willing to listen to you. Let's talk this. It's all about moving the church forward. So we're the church. Let's do it together. It took me a long time to realize that and figure that out. So sorry for the long story, but
it's what we say all the time, right? We're in the people business. Yeah. When you think worship ministry, when you think music ministry, people envision, and I think I was guilty of this getting into it. You envision sitting here all day, listening to music. I got the guitars over here, playing music, piano over there, playing music, learning these things, getting them ready for Sunday, perfecting everything.
Oh, and by the way, Danny, how much do you practice your music? Yeah.
Not enough.
Yeah. Not enough. All of us not enough, but that's something we didn't throw in as well. I didn't mean to cut you off, but we got to practice for Sunday, ourselves.
Well, what I was going to say was, a lot of times that's the expectation, is that that's what we do. And there are many weeks it's all I can do to get it all together so that the band can be ready. I'm struggling just to get all my charts, to make sure that everything's in line, everything's in the right key. Charts are transition. I mean, my tracks are transition, right?
Yeah, mostly it's your transitions that you're kind of concerned about.
Some weeks it's all I can do to get that stuff done.
Yeah.
Because you have whatever else that's happening.
3 funerals.
You have a meeting to go along, and I've had those weeks where I've had multiple. I think 3 is probably the most I've ever done in a week. But funerals, you just don't know, and it is crazy. It is nothing like when you think minister music, when you think worship leader, worship pastor. It really is. You're right. It's ultimately all about the people, and that's what time management and people skills are the things that you need to be aware of in this job, right? Because the time you spend with your people will mean infinitely more than playing a song perfectly.
100%.
Or singing a song perfectly.
100%. Let me tell you, if you don't have and I'm learning this more and more, so I'm speaking to myself, if you don't have the personal skills and you're not connecting with people, you're not leading those songs well, because they're not buying into what you're doing.
That's right.
They're just, you do a new song and, well, I don't like that song. Whereas if you and I are in a relationship and I tell you, hey, this is where God's leading us in this song, here's the text, and this God's been really speaking to me with this song, let's do it. Everybody's on board, or most people, there's a relationship there. So, yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Ministry is about leadership. It's about leading people, ultimately leading them closer to God, right?
Yep.
Ultimately, that is the leadership responsibility that you have. How can I help you? I say leadership, really, I probably should just call it discipleship.
Yeah.
It's about how can I help you grow in holiness and grow closer to the God of creation, the God who loved you so much he sent his son to die for you.
Yeah.
How can I help you do that? And oftentimes it's not perfecting your transition. It's not singing perfect vocal runs. It's not playing perfect piano. It's sitting with that person while their spouse or their child is in surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And that ultimately is what being a worship pastor is about. It's about the relationship. It's not about rehearsal, although rehearsal is a spot you can build those relationships. It's not about rehearsal. It's about drawing people closer to God.
Yep.
And more often than not, it's sitting and listening. Not singing,
That's good.
not playing. Sit and listen.
That's a good word.
Just be there.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up today, I'm going to make you go first today. What are you doing on Sunday?
Just so you know, the face recognition from the iPad will do it at great distances.
Oh, really? Mine won't. It doesn't like it when I'm more than about 2 feet away.
So I have a distinguishable face, I guess.
Okay. What are you doing Sunday?
Yeah. So, all right, laugh at me all you will. We're dipping back for a little bit of old Chris Tomlin on the opener. So, how great is our God? Which
you're opening with that?
Yeah, man. It's good. It's fine.
You sound like you're trying to convince yourself of that.
Well, I was telling our praise team this Tuesday night, and 2 seconds, and I'll tell you this real quick. A lot of times, I've had somebody ask me for this song. I've had people ask me for this song, and
it's a good song.
It's because they know it well and they can sing it loud. And I told them, the praise team, I said, remember, we sing these songs all the time. We practice these songs all the time. There will likely be somebody sitting in the congregation who hadn't heard this in a while, even though we used it like 4 months ago.
Yeah.
For us, we go over it all the time, and we're so kind of sick of it. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what every new song we introduce, we've practiced it so many times. I'm tired of it before we even do it.
That's right.
But anyway, how great is our God? We'll start out. We got a little bit of a graduation acknowledgement. One of our deacon's sons graduating from high school, and for this year, that's the only one we have this year. So,
wow.
So we're gonna do a little bit of a focus there. Then we're gonna go back into Graves into Gardens, Build My Life, and Man of Sorrows, and closing up the service with No Longer Slaves.
No way.
Is that what you're closing
Me
with?
too. Yeah.
See, what key are you doing it in?
I just changed it. Hang on.
Don't say E flat.
A.
Okay.
What are you doing it in?
I'm doing it in the F.
I'm not singing it.
Okay. I was going to say that's a bit high for me.
Yes. I would do it. I originally had it in G.
Yeah.
That's the key that I would do it in if I microphone myself in the face. If I was doing it, I would do it in G.
So if I did it in A, I could probably sing it because I've got that range, but most of people would just stand there and watch me sing it.
It'll put you at around an F sharp on some of the higher parts. So which that's high for your congregation.
Yeah, it is.
It's high for me. I'm not gonna lie, especially right now with voice like it is.
Yeah, you're nothing above a middle C right now.
Yeah, well, it's actually that's the sweet spot.
Okay.
Between a B and a D right now is the sweet spot. You get outside of that, it's probably not coming out. Sunday was rough, man.
You have those times.
I stood up in front of the congregation. I'm like, "Good morning, church." They just laughed.
He has COVID. Oh my goodness.
I'm like, "No, really, it's on you today. You got to sing it today, church, because I can't do it." So, all right, what do traditional service, we're doing Standing on Promises. That's the one. Let others see Jesus in you.
Yep.
And Jesus is all the world to me. We'll close that out with Have Thine Own Way. In stark contrast, my contemporary worship service, we're opening with Good God Almighty.
Who is that?
Do you know that one? It's Crowder.
Oh, yeah.
It's brand new.
Yeah.
Brand new. Well, we're going to be dancing in the aisles this week, brother.
Like some Crowder.
Good God Almighty. He lives. not the hymn, the vertical worship or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Church of the City. I can't remember. Build My Life.
Hey, that's another one I'm doing.
Yeah, what mercy did for me. And then the end of the service, No Longer Slaves, and we'll roll that right over into Seas of Crimson.
Okay.
So I'm trying to transition to, we do about 30 minutes worth of music in that service.
Yeah.
I'm trying to transition to about 15 and 15.
Up front.
I've gotten it probably, I'm probably closer right now, 20 at the beginning, 10 at the end. That's kind of the sweet spot that I think I'm landing in, but I'm aiming for 15 and 15.
Okay.
But yeah, we just find that by the end of the service,
people are ready to sing.
Well, they want a little more than one song, but I don't know they want a whole lot more than 2 songs.
No, probably not.
So it's I'm trying to find that balance.
I've been tempted to lock the doors so nobody can leave.
Yeah.
Hey, we're not done with the service yet. Get in here and worship the Lord. You can
just because that guy's finished preaching,
yeah.
Who said you could go anywhere?
Yeah. Note to self as a pastor preaching, don't ever close your Bible too early, because that's the sign to stop right there.
That's the signal. Yeah, you're done. If you close your Bible, you're done. Yeah.
All right,
just don't ever close it.
Good stuff this week.
Well, brother, thank you. Thank you so much for being with me today. Appreciate good conversation.
Yep.
Folks, we're praying for you as you lead this week. Pray that it goes well. Brother, I'm praying for you as always.
Yep.
Hope everything goes well. And we're looking forward to what God's going to do as we gather together on Sunday. So you guys hang in there, thecomplaintdesk.com. You can go there. Podcast is always there. Send us a note if there's something you'd like to hear, something that we can help you with, topic we can discuss that will help you in your ministry. Send us a note. We'd love to hear from you.
Preferably an email, not a note. Don't send me a note. Send me an email. There's the end right there. Moving on.
Folks, have a wonderful week. We'll see you next week.